Okay.
Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everyone to episode 161 of Born to Be Nerd Dads that sometimes talk about Hearthstone and sometimes talk about Diablo and sometimes talk about video games and sometimes
talk about Florida Man.
someone in the Discord is giving me crap because it's like you say that it's a wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast. I'm like, yeah, but I've said it so many times that it just comes out, but like we talk about other stuff too. Anyways,
a wild semi-exclusive Hearthstone podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Anyways, yeah, sometimes we even talk about Wild Hearthstone here on Born to Be Wild. Anyways, welcome everybody. I'm your host, Nate Wolf. It's great to be back. It is a beautiful Friday evening. I am joining you live from Orange County, California, where it is a very nice day out. It is like summertime. It's a little bit hot here today, actually. So
summer breeze makes me feel fine. Sorry, little typo negative. Summer breeze cover coming in at you.
New intro, new outro. I love it.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Absolutely. Hey, there we go. We'll have to remix it. I like it. Anyways, yeah, I'm joined tonight by three of my favorite people. So let's get into the show. SchmoopieDaddy, welcome back. How are you?
He still can't stop.
You broke Mr. Daddy.
I've had my Florida Man.
Oh gosh,
we need context now.
we can Murgle it. I mean,
for having me, Nate.
So in the pre-show, we found FloridaManBirthday.org, and we're going down what all of our Florida Man birthdays are. And SchmoopieDaddy posted his in chat, and it is definitely not a
I missed it. I missed
friendly.
it.
No, I'm gonna have to click this for sure.
If you are interested, we are not sponsored whatsoever by FloridaManBirthday.org, but that is what we were playing around with in the pre-show.
Oh my goodness. Well, while SchmoopieDaddy catches his breath, Sheep, welcome back. How are you?
Howdy, friend. I'm doing great. So last week I was like, oh yeah, it's not supposed to be raining anymore after this weekend. That was a lie. It was like pouring down rain today. They dropped off my pizza. They didn't like knock on the door or anything, and they left it on the doorstep in the rain, and so it was soggy.
Rude.
So, today's going great, let me tell you what.
Florida Man eats soggy pizza.
I was eating soggy pizza. Hydra saw me do it before you got here.
That's true.
He didn't know it was soggy.
No, I thought it had that Ninja Turtle flex.
Yeah, no, that was right. So how about you, Hydra? How's your pizza today? Hopefully less soggy than mine.
No, my pizza's pretty grand, to be honest. But, like, I picked the wrong time to run to the bathroom because I come back and SchmoopieDaddy's crying. And everyone else is laughing. And I'm like, who is Florida Man? Like, I don't know. I'm doing fantastic. And it seems like y'all are doing pretty good, too. I missed the joke. I go away for 30 seconds.
That's 30 Mississippis.
That's 30 Miss. He did start counting. He always starts counting. So I'm gonna have to go on FloridaMan.com or .org. FloridaManBirthday.org and see what all the hype is about. But I'm doing great. I'm stoked to talk about.
He's still laughing. He can't.
Or something else. He had to leave. For all you audio listeners, SchmoopieDaddy has had to exit the screen. To go
catch his breath.
I don't even know what's happening.
Oh god.
I think this is the most chaotic we've started the show in a while, and like we weren't even that chaotic in the pre-show. This is great.
You're welcome. Well.
So let's see if SchmoopieDaddy has been able to compose himself, and we can see how this week's going too.
multiple times, SchmoopieDaddy. I cannot believe it.
Stop posting headlines.
Okay, well, welcome back.
So, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. It's usually chaotic, but usually not this chaotic until towards the end of the show. We record this very podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs, and the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all of the podcast apps. So however you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Born to Be Wild After Dark. I know we started the shenanigans early. I apologize, but it's fun, and if you're still here, then thank you.
Don't get me wrong. We usually get this chaotic. It's just usually
we try to do it like after the show ends, but here you go. This happens when you tune in live. Anyways, hey, before we get started with the main topics of the show, I did want to say a very big thank you to Shakunin, the executive producer of our show, and Armorn and our other patrons. We appreciate your help. Thank you to the entire Schmoopie family who has bought more shirts from us than anybody. They own stock in the company now.
Dude, get those tank tees going, and we're gonna be okay. All right. Get those tank tops going, and my wife's like, all right. The summer clothing will be set. So
Don't
have
worry,
it ready
we
by
get our
winter.
money back. we spend money in the shop, and then we get the revenue back. It's fine.
For every shirt sale, we get $1 or something.
yeah, it's not much.
Oh gosh.
listen, this show can buy a nice cup of coffee at Starbucks
Whoa.
when there's a sale.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Only when it's double started.
Yeah. If you enjoy this content, please give us like, comment, subscribe to our stuff on YouTube, and
This way, SchmoopieDaddy can buy more shirts to clothe his children.
if
New lore.
Jeez, God, just descended into full chaos. If you're interested in some Twitch emotes, we have some that you can get for free by following us on Twitch. There's a couple other ones that you can get by subscribing, which is free if you use your Amazon Prime. I believe there is a free epic Hearthstone card that you can get with your Amazon Prime as well right now. If you
Random epic.
That's right. Yeah, anyways. If you're interested in interacting with any of us, we do have a Discord channel. It's an online community where we have met friends from all across the whole world. We post decks, we post news, we post funny things, other games. We've got a pretty active Marvel Snap section as well, achievements, and my favorite part, the funny usernames. And so the best part of the show, here you go. This episode is dedicated to Clap Dem Cheeks.
Of course it is.
Oh gosh. All right. Hold on. I was looking at the wrong channel, but that's in Snap. Where did it go?
I mean, that
is there. I'm not.
it's
okay,
applicable.
Okay, here we go.
Mods.
What the fox say? And sold mum 4-pack. and of course the classic. This episode is dedicated to you, Fart Museum.
I love how that one came back.
At this point. One of the classics. I'm glad we see Fart Museum. I hope he joins the community.
If you haven't run into Fart Museum, you're not doing it right. We've all run into. The funny thing is, if you scroll back far enough, you'll see this one in here 4 or 5 times, because every time someone sees oh, that's funny.
Right.
Oh gosh.
It just is.
Yeah.
We were big fans of Fart Museum in this house.
We post decks and news in the Discord. Oh God. Okay. Well, I don't even know what to say at this point. There's a little bit of Hearthstone discussion to be had tonight because there was some stuff that happened, but did want to check in with my friends here and talk about our weeks briefly and just what we've been up to. I have not played Hearthstone because I've been doing some other things, but I have been playing a lot of Diablo because it's amazing. Yeah. Oh my god, it's so good. Yeah, if anyone wants to start like a clan or whatever, like let us know. So I've never played as a sorcerer before. I've always played at the other classes in these games, and so I was like, I'm gonna do it this time. So I made a sorcerer, and I went full frost mage, and named her Elsa. So there you go. It's really fun. It's really fun actually, and
love it.
And it's kind of
let it go.
I did that. Let it go. Let it go.
He let it go at the fart museum.
Lucky.
Oh wow. Wow.
Lucky.
So actually, one of the things that is super cool about this game is that you can, like, as you accumulate your points to spend on like skills and stuff, at any time, like you have to spend some gold, but you accumulate so much, but you can like get all your points back and reallocate them however you want. So if you decide like, oh, I want to focus on these skills instead, or I want to do, you can do that. And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not like D2 where I think you could respec like once per difficulty. So like you could respec in Act 1, I think it was like in normal, nightmare, and then hell, and then you were like kind of screwed unless you collected certain items, and then you could respec if you had found all the certain items that you can use to let you respec. Yeah, as long as you have gold, you can do it.
That's
and
brutal.
Farming gold is super easy.
It's so easy,
gold.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, the game is fun, and I really like that you can kind of do it in whatever order that you want. And as an ADHDer, like having 8 bazillion side quests, like I'm still like in like Act 2 because like, oh, there's a cave, oh, there's a side quest, oh, I need to go slay this monster, and like and then all of a sudden it's 2:00 in the morning, and I have to be up at like 6:30 for work, and so that's been my week. The glasses are hiding like the dark circles under my eyes.
That's always been my secret.
Yeah.
I've noticed that at work because I'll like wake up in the morning and I'll look. I'm like, how does it look? Do I look okay? And then I go to work and I'm like, you know what? When I see them take off their glasses and clean them, I see those dark circles. They're all hiding behind the glasses.
Yeah, I've not slept a lot this week, but I've been having fun. In other card game news, so I hit Infinite and Snap this past week, so that was cool. It's Spider Month, so I got the card back. You get a card back when you hit Infinite, and it's like a variant of the existing card back for the month, but it's like gold. Anyways, it's the Spider-Man 2099 card back, so that's kind of cool. I use my own like homebrew deck up till rank 90, and then I use this. They nerfed Galactus, those cowards. But I'll save that for another show. I used this Thor deck, and it was fun. It was cool. So there we go.
Nice.
I'll talk about it on the Snap show this weekend. I had the opportunity to get into the DC Dual Force beta. It's another like TCG about comic books, but like they timed it so bad, like, as DC always does, right? It's like there's a Marvel movie and then the DC movie comes out 6 months later and it's not as good. Like that's exactly kind of what happened here. Like I have not played the game, but my thought was the amount of money that I've dumped into Hearthstone and dumped into Snap. It's like I cannot do this with another game. I don't care if it's good. Like I don't even want to know. Don't tell me la la la. And
I'll get you.
Yeah, I watched the trailer. I know. It's that just when you thought they were out, they pull you back in. And I just like do not want to. I can't. There's already like no time. And
it is resisting the urge, the call of DJ Khaled.
Yeah, no, not another one.
Schmoopie, do you have a comment?
I have a relevant input. I knew somebody posted in Swag's Discord about a streamer who was given like, a bunch of keys, like 100 keys.
Yeah.
To get early access to this game. And like they were like streaming it. and they had like 10 people in chat. So like this person was just like, dude, just
Perfect.
like
They're giving
show
away
up
keys
and
like left
say
and right,
something
right?
and get a key, right? So it's like, yeah, get it on the ground floor. And like my, like I reposted it and I did my due diligence and I was just like, hey, do your thing. But like I'm already a degenerate in one card game. I can't keep adding other card games to degenerate into.
The problem is like I think I don't know, at least for me, like it's not enough to like play the card game. I have to like be good at the card game. And so I'm not just gonna casual it. Like I'm gonna hit infinite or whatever, legend or whatever the equivalent is, and like I don't know. I really enjoy Snap, but like I've been reading the comic book since I was like a little kid, and I know all the stories and all the characters, and I know most of them for DC and Marvel. But I've been a Marvel nerd like way longer. Like Marvel's like my jam, and so I feel very comfortable there. And the DC is like it's cool, but it's not as good as the Marvel stuff for me. So anyways, I'm avoiding it, but if it's cool, like I'd love to watch somebody play, but I'm not gonna go there. It is Father's Day weekend at the Nerd Dads Club and everywhere else in the world, so I'm excited for that. My fam asked me what I want to do for Father's Day, and I was like, oh, I actually know this talk. I usually like, nothing. Oh no.
Buy me like the new expansion in the DC universe card game.
No, don't do that. It's
No, we can't do that.
So I really wanted to see the new Spider-Man movie, but I hadn't seen the first one yet, and so we got it. I got it just like I have it digitally, but I want to watch it with the fam, so I got the DVD at the library. We watched it, and it was amazing. I cannot believe that I had never seen it. It was hilarious, and my kid, who doesn't like movies very much, was like cackling. It was so good. I cannot even, like, it was really good. So I totally recommend it, right? And then we were gonna go see the new one this weekend for Father's Day, and my wife looked online. She's like, "Oh, it's actually like just about to leave the theaters. So if you want to see it, we got to go like either this weekend or like Wednesday is the last day." And I was like, "Well, it's really busy during the week with work, and I had to work late on Tuesday." And I was like, So we went on Sunday. So we watched it on Saturday, the first one, and then we watched the second one in the theater on Sunday. And it was awesome. It was so great. It was really good. I totally recommend it.
Do you have Spider-Man Remastered and the Miles Morales games right now?
I do, and I never.
Okay, because they are 33% off on Steam if you do not have them.
Actually,
more than 2.
It was really cool because when I got my, so I had Spider-Man on the PS4, and I had never beat it. I had like played it kind of casually, and then when I got the PS5 bundle, it came with Miles Morales, and the Miles Morales game came with a digital key for Spider-Man for PS5. And so it was like I just downloaded it and I've been playing that. Like towards the end, and I got stuck on the stupid side quest like chasing pigeons. But like of all the games, I think like if you played any of the Batman like Arkham games, like they're really pretty cool and they kind of give you the feel. But like this Spider-Man game is like you are Spider-Man. Like if you ever want to feel like it's one giant map of New York City, and you can go anywhere and you just swing and do flips and bounce off walls and swing and flip, and it's crazy. Like it's really pretty cool.
It's an incredible game.
It's very good. So anyways, I've been living in like Spider-Man land, or the Spider-Verse, if you will, lately, and it's very fun. It's very fun. Oh, and I am working on a lore video for that I'm hoping to finish up this weekend. For thinking about doing some of these, but this will be my first one, and I'll share it when I'm done. But it should be kind of fun. I picked a character with a gigantic backstory. That's like total new.
Yeah.
That was a mistake, but so like how to condense like massive story into like no more than 10 minutes is difficult, but I think I got there. Anyways, it should be kind of fun. Yeah. Oh, I found out that oh my god, I've been binge watching Dr. Pimple Popper on HBO Max. It's so good. Yeah, like you either love it or you hate it, but like, oh my god, it's disgusting.
Nope.
And I have like totally enjoyed it. Anyways, that's been my week. See, we haven't even said Hearthstone yet. I'm sorry. Get ready for more. Hydra, what have you been up to?
Wow.
Oh, you're playing Diablo.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I've been playing Diablo. I'm in Nightmare now, which is pretty cool. But I've been enjoying it so much. Diablo is great. I'm level 52.
Nightmare? What is so?
Yeah.
Is that level 4? So you start at like
no,
or is it 3?
So it's 3, right?
Okay,
and then 4 is Torment. So I'm it's like the skill difficulty 3, which you can't access till you're level 50. So once you're level 50, you can go in there, and then you can turn different dungeons into Nightmare mode. It makes you get 100% extra XP per kill, and you get like 15% extra gold per kill, something like that.
Do you get better loot?
The drops are better. You get there's like a different style called like sacred loot. So you can get an item like say like a legendary item or a yellow item that is normal, but then you can get like the sacred version, which is like sells for triple the price or something like that. It has like extra features. You can craft better gems and stuff. They really put like the slow like burn into like upgrading in this game. Like every time you get to that new section, there's just so much more. Like it opens up so much more.
The only thing I don't like is that if you get a legendary that has a cool feature and you want to like rip it off and stick it in a new thing, like that's cool, but that you can only do it once is a bummer, so that you can't like keep adding your cool stat boost to like your next weapon or whatever. That's a bummer.
Yeah. You have to choose which aspect you're going to enchant your legendary with, right? So they're called aspects, and you can earn aspects by either doing dungeons, because dungeons all give you an aspect the first time you do them, or you can extract aspects from your legendaries. But yeah, you can only put one in each item, but you can totally gear yourself out, right? Like you got 2 ring slots, you got your amulet, your helmet, all your armor. So you could have like 10 different aspects or whatever. So there's lots. Are we getting Megan Fox jokes in the chat? Maybe, yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw that Megan Fox was doing this little competition of who had the funniest death. And if you had the funniest death, she would like narrate your death, like give you a eulogy or something, like as a commercial.
How could your death be funny? I don't like.
Well, so it wasn't just funny. It was like if you have a notable death. So if it was like really cool or really funny or really humiliating, like whatever it was, I mean, she's not the one who's evaluating it. Let's be real. Like other people are, and then giving her lines to read.
Gonna do it.
Exactly.
What about Sendog? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about Diablo 4. I'm having a blast. I'm playing it a lot.
I love your character. The gold mask. It's so Death Stranding,
dude.
It's like
because you can extract like the look from anything, right? So like I'm not actually wearing that helmet right now that we have in the image. I extracted that and I pasted it onto something else.
Yeah, so you can wear skins like as long as you've got the thing. If you can like use the hammer thing on it, whatever it is, and you basically keep
you
keep
dust
the skin
it and keep the skin, yeah, which is super cool.
It's awesome. Yeah,
I always keep the skin.
Okay, Buffalo Bill.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. We were talking about Diablo.
Put some lotion on its wool, or else it gets the hose again.
Yes, it puts the lotion in the basket.
Yeah.
Wait, can we talk about your book collection real quick before we like?
Yeah.
Because this is getting impressive.
Yeah, so like as everybody knows, I do like my Stephen King, and I started off reading actual books back in like high school, college, and stuff. And the first thing I ever read was Pet Sematary, and that was
what a doozy.
Pretty solid book. I know, right? And more recently, because I was doing audiobooks and reading what I could get my hands on, and I was buying a bunch of secondhand books. And sometimes my only option was some hardcovers. And my wife's like, those look really good. And so I thought like, maybe I should not buy paperbacks. Maybe I should only buy hardcovers. And then this is like my my life with Hearthstone, right? So like paperbacks are like regular versions of cards, and the hardcovers are like the golden versions, right? And so I've started the journey. It's been a few months going now of collecting every Stephen King book in hardcover. Not as easy as you would think.
Oh man, I bet you some of the old ones go for like $1 bazillion.
Dude, I know. I found a copy of The Stand at a bookstore just yesterday. It was like printed in 1978, and it was horrible. The whole like dust cover was tattered, and it was $130.
Jeez.
And it was and there's other ones that go for easily over 1,000, like first editions and stuff like that. So it's difficult. Today, this one's funny. So I've been trying to get an original version of it in hardcover. You can buy them on Amazon, the new ones for like $40, a new hardcover of it for $40, right? However, I wanted to find one of the older ones because I thought it'd be kind of cool. They are very expensive. Today before my lunch break, I was making some phone calls, and I called this one bookstore in a little place called New Westminster here in the lower mainland of Vancouver. And the lady, she's like, yeah, we have a hardcover copy of it. And I said, which cover is it? Is it the dark one with the sewer, or is it the new one with the smiley face? And she says, it's the dark one with the sewer. So that's like the old original cover. And I said, well, how much are you selling that for?
$1 million.
No. She's like, there's no price tag on it, but the book next to it, which was Under the Dome, the book next to it says $7. And I was like, well, so are you gonna sell that one to me for $7? And she's like, yeah, the owner probably just forgot to tag it. Sure, $7. And I was like, I'm on my way right now. I got in my truck.
Quick before they...
It took me like 40 minutes to get there on my lunch break, another 40 minutes back.
Sorry, boss. Sorry, I'm late.
I missed our first fire drill we've had in 5 years too.
God, were they doing
in the building?
They're sitting here counting people, and you're missing. Oh my God!
My boss texted me. He's like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I forgot." I texted him back via like my voice activated thing in my truck, and I was like, "Oh, out for lunch, boss."
Oh my gosh!
So I drove 3 cities over to get the book.
Wow.
Worth
$7. Even my wife was like, I texted her, I'm like, you think I should go get it? And she's like, yeah.
Yes.
Why are you not already on your way?
$7.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, the collection is actually coming together quite well. I think I have, out of the 62, I believe it is, Stephen King novels, I have 34 in hardcover. And a lot of them I have paperback also, but they're not on this shelf. My wife will not allow me to put the paperbacks on the shelf.
They ugly.
Only the hardcovers. Yeah, they ugly. So I have most of the books, but not all in hardcover. But I'm more than half, and so it's come along, pretty swell. And I've been paying between $7 and about $12 per copy.
Oh, that's how to do it. If you can get them, you don't want to pay like full price, right?
Dude, they're like $40 each.
Yeah,
like,
forget that. No,
like I'm not doing it.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's fun, and it's been a game, right? Like my wife has been helping me. We've been tracking them down, and it's been pretty cool.
So what are you gonna do when you collect them all? You have to.
At that point I might like, well, this one's a little tattered. Let's try to find a better version of this or whatever. But that was my week in Hearthstone.
Yeah, that's about as eventful as my week in Hearthstone was too. So,
Electric Sheep City, what have you been up to this week?
So I've been working a lot. Work has been work. I also started up work. Exactly. School started back up. So I'm in a grad program for HR and started class number 4. So been doing a lot of school too. That's been a lot of my week. And then of course, I'm a parent too. So doing that. I have been playing Hearthstone though. I've been playing through Battlegrounds, been catching up on my Battlegrounds quests because
I was gonna say you already hit legend last week.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do for the rest of the
month? So I've been playing some Battlegrounds. Yeah. I got the little like battle pass thing, so I'm working my way through that. Like as long as I do all of my weeklies, then I'll get there. I'm so glad that the weeklies like get banked too, though, because like I had like 4 or 5 in the chamber, like just there, like behind that I couldn't access quite yet because.
Oh, it's great. I wish that they would do it for like regular.
Why not?
Why not? It's such a great system. Like it means that whenever I come back to it, I don't feel like I'm losing anything. And that's why like I haven't been playing Sea of Thieves as much because like time, like, was in the NICU, all that kind of stuff. Like then whenever I came back, I missed out on so much stuff. And it's like, well, I'm just not going to get back into it. Whereas Battlegrounds, it's like, hey, I missed a few weeks, but I can come right back and like make it all up like wicked quick, which is awesome. So
yeah.
Really wish that they would implement that in traditional Hearthstone as well, for sure. I have been playing some traditional Hearthstone as well. In our format of Wild, I've still been playing Aggro Druid. It's still been fun. I've also been playing Secret Mage because whenever I've got Oasis allies in my secret pool and I'm playing against a Kingsbane Rogue or a Questline Druid, like I just win. It's great. So actively been playing that because A, it's a good deck, but B, it hard counters the things that I've like not been enjoying. And so a deck that I'm enjoying playing and is kind of like countering those and making them not do as well. Oh yeah, we take those. We totally take those.
Yep.
Also been playing around in Standard with post-nerf stuff, but we can maybe talk a little bit about that when we get to the news section, which we do have some actual Hearthstone news to go over. But before we get there, Schmoopie Father, how has your week been, my friend?
He's still laughing about Florida, man.
No, I've recovered since. You can't drop something as degenerate as that directly before a show starts because it tickles my funny bone, and then I really am unprepared to interact with society for a solid.
You are not prepared.
Half an hour.
Me to it.
I have literally spent half of this show muted, either because of my cackling or needing to clear my throat in case, Yog forbid I need to speak on cue for a camera. Well, I spent really the notable parts of my week, especially when it comes to Hearthstone. IRL classes ended on Tuesday. Half my kids cut. Who cares? And now we're into proctoring and grading stuff that I don't actually have to grade. I have to help bubble the sheets. Somebody else grades the test, and then I bubble in the points as they do it, and to be more time efficient. And so I'm literally turning my brain off, listening to music and just bubbling sheet. It's great. It's the best time of the year. It's my favorite time of the year. And so like IRL work is about as stress-free as it ever gets. Nice. Next week we close up for good until next September. And so that has been stress-free. As far as Hearthstone goes, the most interesting thing that has happened for me as far as the Wild format goes is THL, Team Hearth League. For those of the uninitiated, it's a tournament-style competition between teams that are formed early in the season, and then you play an individual matchup within your team in a best-of-5 series. And I know that it's been discussed before on the show, but I've also had people ask me, but you keep talking about THL. What's THL? I just figure I'd rehash that.
Who's running it since Hat left?
Probably the runner-up to this year's Born to Be Wild competition.
Yeah.
NHL fan would be the money that I would bet on.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So they have 2 co-commissioners. Marty was one, and was it Based was the other one? So someone else was the other one, and I'm drawing a blank, and I feel really bad.
Maybe. But I know the person who's doing all the technical wizardry for THL and the organization has been in HL, and like the person putting, at least from what I've observed in my limited capacity of, being a Wild parentheses derogatory player has been NHL's involvement. So it wouldn't shock me if he took things over and ran with it, because he definitely helps us with our tournament, and he just in tournaments in general. It's something he dips his toe into in a lot of places.
Big fan.
I got streamed on Saturday. I was playing against
cool.
Devil Lion, and if you've ever witnessed a Devil Lion stream, the man loves to counter queue, and the man loves to really think through his plays, and sometimes throw out the obvious play for the less obvious line, which is always entertaining. I did lose 3-2 off a discovered Hollow Hound from my own deck against the Big Priest, which feels real bad, and pissed me off something powerful. However, quick turnaround. The week ended, and I rolled the Rabobson matchup, which was okay. What degenerative hour do we get to play our match? I don't know. It's a running joke. He's in the EU. I think he's in England.
Oh, I know Rebob.
It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard to schedule at Rebob, but we always joke. It's just like, okay, what's the strange Rebob start time, like 7 a.m. in the morning on the East Coast, or like in this case at that we start at 7:30, and I won 3-0, and I high rolled out of my mind. Aside from one particular matchup where my control paladin, which I've spoken about on this show, which is bred specifically to smoke Even Shaman. He queued Even Shaman. I queued Control Paladin. I played Finley on 2, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is good. We're all right. I wasn't too happy with my opening hand, but I was very happy with what I got from there on. And it was smooth sailing. But the other matchups, I high rolled out of my mind. And that's THL sometimes. And that's knockout competition sometimes, is you can have worse decks or you could have bad matchups. But if you high roll, you get through. And so I was really happy, because by winning that match 3-0, what it meant was I ended the season 3-3, which, okay, 50% win rate, not good, not bad. But I started, not to be toxic, a little low for Wild, but I started my season getting swept by NHL and getting swept by Hyperion. And so both of which are like classic top 200 players. And so I don't usually get swept. I usually take pieces of my opponent with me when I lose. So I pride myself on that. So I started out my season basically 0-6. Then I ended 11-11 as far as games go. So even though I ended 3-3 and my record ended as 11-11, the fact that I was able to sort of bounce back and sort of get that back and end up at sort of middle of the ground, I was happy with that. So that was cool.
Nice.
I've never been stoked about having to verse NHL, and I have, and it doesn't usually end well for me. So
I'm at a point where I'm kind of okay with playing anybody, because I think I can scam anybody. But am I 100% comfortable? No, probably not.
Yeah. Before we move off of THL talk, 2-star Mako. Mako? Mako, thank you. 2-star Mako is the other co-commissioner.
Okay.
Sweet.
I've never interacted with Mako, so like for me, I'm Team Marty. So I don't know who's gonna do what, but
I've always read Mako's name rather than heard it or said it, as is evident by not knowing how to pronounce it.
That's funny. No, I could be wrong. I that's just what I always thought it was, but running a league the size of THL is a ton of work. I cannot fathom how. I mean, I think that they kind of designed it to be semi hands-off, and I've participated in it before, but they do a great job. And
it's all grassroots. It's all from the bottom up. It's all like players playing players organized by other players. It's not sanctioned, which is why it was Team Hearth Legends for a long time, because Blizzard was like, okay, you can't call yourself League. Okay, cease and desist. And we're like, okay, we'll cease and desist. Sure, buds.
I was there for that way back when, and the United Hearthstone League was a thing, and they invited all the podcasters to play, and we got one too, and it was a thing. It was a whole thing. Anyways,
how?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
On a less THLE level, the only other news I have really in Hearthstone was I basically deleted after I finished THL because my team has a bye next week. There's no way in heck we're getting into the playoffs. So I deleted all my, basically, practically, virtually all of my meta deck lists and was just like, okay, let me see what jank I can come up with that has been sort of floating around THL or floating around Neon 31's website.
SchmoopieDaddy play jank?
No. Normatic. I know. And so for those at home who are playing along, I've got not right now, but I started with 27 deck lists, no deck tracker, just like queue up, go, queue up, go, queue up, go. Playing two games at a time with each deck list, and then seeing what I like and what I don't. Thus far, the darling of the pack is Dankus Dad's Odd Warrior, which has like one amalgam ban as your top end. It's kind of spicy. It's got riffs and one amalgam ban. Like you can't do much better. Does it lose to some other stuff? Yes. Does it do Odd Warrior things spectacularly? Yes. And that's been my week. It's actually rekindling. I'm finally getting a little bit more enthusiasm for this format and this expansion from this little, trip I'm taking into like the jank sea.
Nice.
Because like goodness me, it's been rough.
Well, we are 42 minutes in, and it is time to talk about Wild Hearthstone.
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
Oh, Hydra's not even here. Oh, we lost Hydra. Okay. Well, anyways, there's some nerfs and buffs and a ban. So someone enlighten us, please.
Absolutely. So the nerfs primarily, of course, as usual, are targeting standard. And those are the Purator now costs 6 mana instead of 5. It relies on you running exclusively class cards, so we're never going to play this in even Paladin. Disco Maul is now a 3 mana 3/2 instead of a 2 mana 2/2. Kind of a buff? No, it's just a nerf. Also, Feast and Famine now costs 2 mana instead of 1. That's pretty cool. Lady Setheno is now a 1/4 instead of a 2/4. That's a big nerf. Hope of Kel'Thuzos is now a 3/2 instead of a 4/2. That was the hunter weapon. It's still good. You were always playing that for the stat buff because it buffs your hand, board, and deck. But now it's only a 3/2, so it keeps the weapon itself from being like crazy good. Posic Audio Engineer is now a 4/4 instead of a 5/4. And SchmoopieDaddy has something to say about Posic. Take it away, Mr.
I
Daddy.
actually have something to say about Setheno, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
There is the card Crazed Alchemist that makes you switch attack and
yeah.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Like it's core and
it
it
swaps
makes you switch
the-
attack and health, and somebody was just like, "Oh, this is just a 1 mana nerf now," and so like. There's a chance they haven't actually killed Setheno in standard if that takes off, and like that's okay.
I thought,
And so the reason
But Sheep
why
is nailing
SchmoopieDaddy
these. Sheep is
Thank you.
nailing these nerfs, by the way, as far as their relevance for Wild. Like it's kind of like meh.
Well, and also relevant, SchmoopieDaddy said a 1 mana nerf. That's because Standard was playing Abusive Sergeant, specifically to buff Lady Setheno up to be a 4/4. So now you just drop down the Crazed Alchemist, and since she always is immune while she's attacking, same difference.
I always
Silly
thought that
standard.
they would nerf it to say attacks minions instead of heroes. Like it says enemy, right? If they,
I don't think they want to kill it. They don't want to kill the card.
No. I mean, I'm glad. I don't like it when they kill cards, but I'm surprised that it's lasted this long. It's just not the nerf that I thought that it was going to get, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah, because the last nerf round, they nerfed Predation, which was kind of nerfing around Setheno. And this time they're like, will actually nudge Sathina herself. I mean, I think Sathina was kind of worth a nerf because like that was one of the things that was like holding up DH as like relevant, and like they're pretty much only like real big finisher, unless you're just playing relic DH, which was still totally good. So like that wasn't a like, unless you're doing this thing no one's doing, unless you were doing this thing that was viable to do. But Demon Hunter had like multiple archetypes, and multiple of them were using Lady Sitheno as their like soul win condition. So it was definitely worth a nerf because it's been around since like what, the
Sunken, right?
Sunken City, yeah. So she's been around for a while. There are also, however, some buffs. Rhythm Dancer Risa now costs 4 mana instead of 5. Yes, Mr. Daddy.
Did anybody else not realize this was also a rogue card?
I didn't realize this was a card.
It was pointed out to me on a server that this was a rogue card as well as a DH card, and so I'm trying to do the achievement in DH. I'm like, this is freaking impossible, man. And I should have just been doing it in rogue with like shadow steps and like break dances and stuff.
Yeah.
The achievement is you have to kill 5 minions in a match with Breakdancer, and Breakdancer was a 5 mana 3/5 rush, but it has the text. If your hero attacks, it
goes back to your hand, but only costs
return
1.
her back to your hand, and she only costs 1. So like you could do some really silly stuff with that as far as board control goes, but like you're playing DH, do you really want to do that? Not in a typical DH, maybe in a Reno DH. I can think of maybe one rogue archetype that isn't real and Shmoopie plays and nobody else does, that might want to do that in Shadow Step Rogue, where you just basically spam Astalors and stuff and God knows what else. But I don't know, whatever you want as your win condition, the Lothebs, whatever. That could want that. But I didn't even realize this was a rogue card. I thought there was only one class you could do this achievement in. So I'm super excited for this buff.
Oh, yeah. Also being buffed is Fiddlefire Imp, which was a 3 mana 3/2 and now is a 3 mana 3/3. It's a demon, warlock, and mage. Battlecry, add a random fire mage and fire warlock spell to your hand. It's also an imp. Neat.
I had to Google
buffed.
what that was just now.
Yep. Yeah, we still will not play it. Standard might still not play it because why? One thing that may be worth playing for fun though is Remix Dispensobot. Used to be a 4 mana 4/4, now is a 3 mana 3/3. So that's the mech that gains an extra effect in your hand that changes each turn. The effects stayed the same. So those effects were all like pretty legit. And now it's a much cheaper way to like activation cost to actually get those online. Take it away, Shmoopie.
I was going to say, I know Hijo's been playing with this card. He loves it in Quest Mage because your options are 2 secrets, 2 coins, 2 mechs, or 2 frost spells. And 3 of those options are really dirty for Quest Mage. So like he's not playing it in 30 card Quest Mage, he's playing it in an XL Quest Mage, which is a little bit suspect. But like even if you played this in like Mech Mage, like are you really upset about these options?
I totally want to play this in Mech Mage, and it's absolutely the wrong choice there, but it's the fun choice.
Mana Chi, hand refill, secrets are like you can high roll. It's not great. You can high roll. It's not great. Same thing with frost spells. You can high roll. It's not great. But like often you're not paying 3 for it. So at the same time, you're like perfectly happy with whatever you get from like you're keeping your card advantage. So like there's a lot of like I think a Reno Mage kind of loves this card. This is like free value to hand and or like if you get the coin option, like that's awesome. Now I can play some of my expensive garbage crap much sooner. Like I can play my Reno on 4 now. So like
I can play my LPG on 4 or 5 if I started with the coin.
Yeah, no. So like I think it's a fun card. It has utility. It's actually not worth scoffing at because I think it's actually good enough to make an impact and like be very workmanlike in its functionality.
Imp.
Not to mention how amazing. I know when we say you talk about the art, it's bad. But for each version you get, if you look at the card, he like opens the doors on his chest, kind of like Bender.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, it's got the different options on the inside, like per which version you have of what you're gonna get. It's super cool.
Yeah, all the remixes are like that, and that's a cute little attention to detail they did a good job on in this expansion and this mini set specifically.
Absolutely. And finally, the big discussion point is we have another ban. This one of Crimson Clergy. So Crimson Clergy, of course, was the 1 mana 1/3 with the overheal. You draw a card. And Schmoopie, I know, is very passionate about this one, so I'm just gonna like sit back and let Schmoopie take over.
Yeah, SchmoopieDaddy called it for the record.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing before he goes? Why ban the one person wearing the Canadian flag? Like, come on.
It's just too good at hockey.
Yeah, here we go. It's on episode 149 at 2 hours and 6 minutes. Will it play at the
Time's
spot?
up.
No. Okay. 2 hours. Wow, that's long. 2 hours and 6 minutes. And
maybe 12 seconds? Question mark.
All right, I'll just play it. Here we go.
Like I'm watching people practice thing like in that.
Yeah, well, we would have all realized it pretty soon, but like,
yeah.
So wait, so what is changing with Zephyrs, by the way, or do you want to?
Okay, so it's probably 10 seconds.
Like, I give this specific card.
Future Nate will edit this out. We'll nail it the first try.
In some way, shape, or form.
Wait! You just said it, right?
6 months.
Wait, there we just talked over. Here we go. This was it.
Had chance to get removed from core set. Because they did, because Cora, the announcement video, she does mention that
back more.
I'm
terrible tragedy.
No, I'm absolutely terrified of this card in wild and in standard.
I'm not the genius that figured out that this is how this works, right? Like I'm watching people practice thing like in that.
Yeah, well, we would have all realized it pretty soon, but like,
yeah.
So wait, so what is changing with Zephyrs, by the way, or do you want to?
Sure, yeah, no. Well, I'm just saying, like, I give this specific card, I'd probably give it like a 50-50 shot to be banned from Wild.
Oh yeah,
in some way, shape, or form.
And
then that card 6 months.
Even 6 months. Within 6 months, you heard it.
Chance to get
within 6 months. I really, you know what? I really took a strong position. We'll ignore the coin flip that I put in there, but just not knowing how Overheal worked. My eyes glazed over this card so quickly, and then realizing what the function was and people pointing it out and getting it clarified on Twitter, like, you gave Priest a degenerate draw engine. So, like, I have a couple points to attack this from, and I'm going to make this as interactive as possible because I don't want to monologue for half an hour, which I could easily do. So let's start with what you guys know. Like, you let me on here, you know what sort of disaster I could wreak. So let's start with this. How do you know? The show is so good.
Sorry, carry on.
It's okay. Trolling me is going to be a part and parcel with the show. It's fine. How do you guys know when someone's animation cheating? How do you tell? So I'm going to start with Sheep. Sheep, how do you know when somebody's animation cheating you?
You just see them like start spamming exactly what they're doing without any sort of a break in between. Like obviously the animation is different from them as it is for me, but I just see them like start, where they're the highlight that shows where they were moving their cursor. I start seeing that like going way faster than they ever would be able to do with any sort of an animation. Okay. Or unless you're talking about this card in particular.
No, I don't know. I just
how do you tell
when the rope has been burning for like 2 minutes and it's like, okay, but I don't know. I mean, I don't have a good way of knowing. I mean, there's a certain decks that require like super APM. And like I remember back in the day when we were playing Ignite Mage, and like I got the combo down, but you really had to be fast with it, and I couldn't always do it. And I was like, how do people do this? And but I mean, I really don't know. I mean, all I could really say is when I start watching the rope go, and then the rope is supposed to burn like at the very end of it for like a couple seconds and then stop, and then it's 30 seconds and then it's a minute and it's still going. It's like, okay. But
use the rope. Like a lot of players use the rope. Hydra, how do you tell if somebody's animation cheating?
I would love to use the rope, but I feel like I can't use the rope, right? Because a lot of things happen where the animations for me are lasting way longer than it is for them because they're APM and their actions. They're playing things, but I am seeing, full animations. Maybe they have the thing where they're actually skipping the animations like you're talking about, right? Like you could do a deep dive on calculating how much time a turn is and everything. Personally, from my end of it, I can't tell unless I was going to do the math, but I don't know.
Okay. So where we're at is Sheep.
Are you going to tell us?
Grade. Sheep gets an A. Hydra, you get a solid. We'll call you a B- for your wishy-washiness. And Nate, we're going to give you an F for being Reddit. Okay, so if you are straight up just using the rope as your only indication as to whether or not somebody's animation cheating, you're going to think anybody doing an APM combo is animation cheating.
They're all cheaters. You heard it here.
We are not playing chess in person. We are playing correspondence chess. You are putting in an input, and that input is being sent into a central location and then being reflected on your screen with whatever other inputs are there, right? Correct. So in this case, in Hearthstone, uniquely, we have animations. And I want to bring this up because this is very important to soundly figuring out exactly who is cheating and who is not cheating. Because if you just start reporting anybody playing an APM combo as cheating,
you can't.
It's dumb, and it's actually harmful to the community because you are creating cover for actual cheaters. So the rope is actually the worst indicator for whether or not somebody's animation cheating. I remember I played against Martian in the Born to Be Wild listener series. It wasn't last season, 2 seasons ago in the semifinals. I brought Ignite Mage, and I remember Nate saying to me in the interview, "Oh wow, I didn't know if you were going to get the combo off because the rope was burning, and like, were you going to get there?" Meanwhile, for me on my end, I threw my last Ignite just as the rope began to burn.
Right.
So for me, it was a clean, what I would call like a clean combo where I was stress-free the whole time. My cards came out the right order. I put everything together. And for me, the rope barely got to burn. For you on the other end, it had to show you the animation of every card that I played, its battle cry, its unique animation. And then specifically Ignite itself has a animation time that is a little bit protracted for whoever's on the receiving end. First, I think there's fire that starts on the face, and then there's fire that goes, across the screen, that has to walk itself across the screen, and then it blows up on your face. And so that's a lot more animation time than what I necessarily see, because I see a much quicker version of that. Whereas
that sounds like cheating to me.
And when it hits your face, well, here's what's kind of funny. When it hits your face with more damage, it actually slows down the Ignite on my end. Ignites of 8 damage or up are actually a slower animation than 7 and lower, which has always been my limiting factor.
Do they do the same thing as like when you hit someone with a really big Jade Golem, your screen shakes down?
Yes. Yeah. It's very similar. And it's always been the limiting factor for me. I can only get 3 Ignites off once the rope starts burning. Like, I know that. Like, I can't do it. So, that's my max. And that's if I time it perfectly where I'm throwing one and then the rope starts burning. So I know that as a combo player. So, just because you see the rope burning on your end doesn't mean that the person is cheating when you blow up after the rope is done burning. If you're really upset about this particular thing, I've said it before, log out of the client, give 5 to 10 seconds, boot back up, come in at the end of their turn, see if they get there or they don't get there. Sheep is most correct, where if they're doing actions immediately after you hit the end turn button, you know they're animation cheating. And I would say 90% of the time I see this happen, it is not to stereotype. It has been Chinese players playing aggro decks. They've done it to decrease their time. They're trying to get as many games in as possible, and it's not to enable some degenerate combo. It's literally just to play more games of Even Shaman or more games of Pirate Rogue. This is
you figure it's also the bots?
This happen.
The bots?
No, I don't think bots are doing this because bots can act quicker than humans. The animation times I don't think are a factor for bots. I don't think they're looking at that input. I think it's humans playing, because they make mistakes too. Like you see human like mistakes or misplays, or like you can bait them a little bit, or you can head fake them. So that's my first question when it comes to, okay, can you tell somebody to shoot? So here's your litmus test. It's like, and the first time I saw a spell ignite cheater, I ended my turn. They ended their turn immediately, and so it was my turn again. I was like, what? I had time to load laundry into this dishwasher. Into this dryer.
You can try. I might have a question for the end of the show for you.
Right. I've been doing the dishes wrong this whole time.
So like you get feedback immediately. Like it's jarring when it happens, especially because like I don't know, we get used to a certain cadence in our competition, right? Especially if you have any athletic background, you can almost get used to a certain cadence where it's just like, okay, you do a thing, then I do a thing, then you do a thing, then I do a thing, and then it really gets going and let's go. And that's disrupted by the animation cheating, because a lot of times they're not hiding the fact that they're animation cheating, they're just playing. So when they can end the turn, they end their turn. But for you, it's like, pop, pop, and it's like, whoa, that's weird. So that's how you can know when someone's animation cheating. Okay, so that's level 1. Level 2. Was this an enabler for a good deck? Sheep, was this an enabler for a good deck?
No.
No.
Sorry, dang it. I spoke over Sheep. I'm sorry.
It's okay. That was my answer as well.
For a good deck.
You asked me?
Yes, you.
I don't think it was a good deck. Or no.
Okay. Nate, was this an enabler for a good deck?
Not really. I mean, it was funny, but like, I remember we raided Maxibon after one of the shows, and he was playing this APM stuff, and like, he's one of the best players like ever, and he was just losing left and right because it's hard to pilot, and it's draw dependent, and so like, I think the answer is no. I mean, and
he had a maxi build. Let's be honest, he had a maxi build. Well, he wasn't doing the most efficient build. He was doing one of the things that maxi does.
Of course, but yeah,
the correct answer is no. Okay, Nate, you get a B+ this time. You were wishy-washy though. You need to commit. All right. This was not an enabler for a good deck, which is where there is some. I'm not going to out who it is because it's a prominent member of the Wild community, and they're going to have their own time and their own content and their own talking point at some point, where they're going to say banning this was a bad idea because banning this now is very out of touch because it's not a part of a good deck. It's not a part of a good deck. It's a part of like a tier 4 or even tier 5 deck. This is not any better than any other high rolls that we have in Wild. Go ahead, Sheepy.
Yeah, and what I would say kind of to that kind of an argument is the polarization. There have been previous bans and nerfs, etc., of previous balance changes where it's not necessarily a great card, but it's either highly polarized or feels bad to play against. And this was kind of both of the latter two. What wasn't a great deck, but felt bad to play against. And then if you were playing any sort of a control deck, then like you would just lose to this. It polarized it super hard in that aspect.
At the same time, that deck folded so hard to any kind of disruption. Questline Hunter had a deck that was actually half decent. Exile Questline Hunter, because it played bees and snipe. And like, that's all you needed. Bees and snipe and maybe a pressure plate. And
a brain. Don't forget about the brain.
And courage.
I play wild, so if I only had a brain. See the holes in your argument, Hydra. They just keep appearing. So this wasn't a part of a good deck. So like you could make an argument that this didn't deserve the ban that it got because it wasn't a part of a degenerate deck. Like it in and of itself, as so artfully put by Dr. Evil in our chat tonight. Freak that card. Why did Priest get a 1-mana Gadget Sand Auctioneer? And that's I think to my third point of why in Yogg's Green Earth have they ever designed this card for Priest in a class that has the second best card generation to Mage, maybe, as far as just like developing cards. Like it doesn't need draw. Like Priest does not need draw. Priest can generate resources. Priest can remove people's stuff. Priest can do priesty things. Priest doesn't need to draw cards too. And I don't understand why we keep wanting to draw Priest cards. And so I don't know why this card exists. I don't know why Switcheroo existed, and we'll have to deal with in a reckoning of some sort when it comes back to Wild. I have a problem with this design, functionally speaking. But my before I finish my big old ramble would be banning this card, in my opinion, was the correct thing to do because of the way the deck was structured. If it ever got more consistent, you literally could just win the game on 2 or 3 with this card.
Yeah,
you could just draw through your deck with this and Funnel Cake, and you could print mana.
Funnel cake.
I know you guys goofed around. You took a whole episode. Hey, let's troll Schmoopie and let's put in sound bites about funnel cakes. This like we were this close to Armageddon, you fools. But no, this card was a problem to the point where I didn't think it should exist at all. So I'm glad they took care of it. Does it seem a little tone deaf that they took care of it now? I think that's a reasonable argument.
Yeah.
But Sheep, what were you going to say?
He was going to say funnel cake.
I was, but 2 things, and I'll do the more recent point first because it's more recent. Ulticon, good friend of the show, defeated Diablo turn 1 with this very deck. Only needed 3 mana. Had to rely on a good draw, of course. Had to rely on good draw RNG, of course. But like, did it pretty quick, and then like trying to replicate it again for recording took
you
a
do
little
get
while.
3 mana on turn 1.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And the Diablo one, you get 3 mana on the first turn.
You need Clergy, you need Radiant Elemental, and you need Funnel Cake. Ideally. And then you need a good draw after that. But you could.
Right. Exactly. So the more recent point is, how much health did Diablo have total? 200? And Ulticon did it on turn 1, which admittedly, 3 mana, but like on turn 1. No turn timer. Yes.
Which to your point, I think, is that's like animation cheating. Imagine if the animation time is not a factor. Imagine if your turn time is not a factor. You could do whatever you wanted to. Which I'm going to invoke Coming Virus, who I know is in the chat tonight because I bugged him in his DMs because I knew I was going to invoke him tonight. And I'm going to broach this to you guys. Do you think animations should have a limiting factor in combo decks in Hearthstone?
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that, Sheep, instead of just throwing out a pregnant yes?
Sure.
But I put you on the spot, and I'm buying you time to gather your thoughts now as I ramble and use my hands. My hands are making things bigger, and I'm distracted.
No worries. So I don't actually need the time because I think that the animations being there and the number of actions that you can take is one of those things that is a skill testing aspect of those APM high like APM combo decks. I think that the animations are an integral part of that, because if you can queue stuff up, if you know things that are happening, while the animation's going on, but you can see it, I feel like that's part of the skill-based issue, the skill-based like aspect of those particular combo decks. I think they should be a factor.
To your point, before I let it go to Hydra and then Nate, when it comes to Ignite Mage specifically, Elemental Evocation, I know sucks time away from me. If I have to play Elemental Evocation and it discounts something in my hand, it slows me down. And so I don't even like casting Elemental Evocation to cycle if I can help it when I'm playing Ignite Mage, which again should be a dead deck and should be a dead deck forever. But when I play it, because I'm a degenerate, this is something that comes up as far as just like, okay, skill testing. I'm playing on mobile. I know I only have so many times for actions. This is something I have to plan for, or I can get a better spell. I'm sorry, Nate, I cut you off, and then I know Hydra raised his hand too.
Oh, let Hydra go first. He raised his hand.
All right. So when it comes to animations, the four of us like to hit legend, right? That's the thing that we do, right? So obviously that's considered somewhat competitive, right? Like getting to that is when you have the queue and you're joining a game, and you know how they give you those little tips at the bottom of the screen while you're waiting to be matched against your great opponent. It says the highest rank in Hearthstone is the legend rank, right? So that is what we go for. So for us, something like animations seems like a bunch of bull crap when we're like, well, like, come on, I want to play the game. I want to make it rain with my combo, right? We are not the majority of Hearthstone players. We are definitely not. So when there's animations and there's fun things happening, when Snow Flipper Penguin is doing a backflip onto the board, that is Hearthstone, right? Like the game is fun, and it is not just for us people that are like, let's go already, as Bender would say. Like
we're the hyper engaged sweaties, right? Like even as casual as we might be.
It is so evident too by the support of the esports aspect of it at this point, right? Like animations are there, they're fun, it's cool, and then we're the sweaties up at the top, right? So, and not even I'm not saying I'm top 200 legend, like my highest is like 400 at the most, right? Like, oh no, I did hit, what was it, 14 or 15 in classic once, but still, right? Like, this game is meant for so many people. So when it comes to animations, maybe they make a mode where that doesn't exist, right? But the game is whimsical. It's funny. We've got Nemzi, like it's all sorts of fun. It's laughter. There's just so much about it that I don't think the devs are always looking at this APM stuff and all these animations and whatnot, and them cutting it. Like, they've got a team that works on this stuff, right? Like on the cool intros, the cool cards, the voice lines, all this stuff. Like, that is not their first concern, is like, the sweats at the top going to be pissed about this.
So to test your conviction and your position, would you be in favor of a setting in settings that turned off the animations?
Like Nas, hold on. I get to go with, go ahead. Like, yes. So if we were going to do like a Nas version, right? You know how Nas is now, you both got to include Nas, right? Let's say a setting where both opponents have agreed to turn off animations totally. If you have both, if that is a setting and you both agree, and you go into a game and you notice right away, like you get like a prompt saying animations are off for this round, let's go. Yeah, totally down.
Okay.
Until I get destroyed by some weird quest mage that drives me absolutely crazy, I am down. We'll see how it goes. But yes, I'm down to try it. Like, I love when the dev team experiments with this stuff. So I would be down to try it. Who knows? It could be a disaster, but I would try it, yes.
Because to rehash for those at home, this is not something they can police. They can't police animation cheating because this is a change that happens locally on your device that you can do at home. And so the devs don't have a reasonable solution to animation cheating. So typically when you see a deck that is punishing or is in some way at least threatening as far as animations go, there is this penchant to possibly bopping the sucker. Hold on. I know Nate wanted to go first, and then Hydra. We can go back to your point. Nate, go ahead. What were you going to say before?
All right, here's what I was going to say. I take the legal approach here and look at the letter of the law versus spirit of the law idea, right? So if they wanted these infinite card combos to it's not how the game was intended. I don't think that the intention was to play 300 cards in one turn, right? The animations serve a purpose because they sort of inherently prohibit you from playing outside of your allotted time limit. And I know sometimes they've tweaked animation speeds because something was taking too long or whatever. They've done that in the past. I remember when they had the thing where you could skip your opponent's turn because you could play or Nosdormu with one of the, I don't remember what card had the animation thing, and it did the animation through your opponent's turn and it allowed turn skipping, right? But I think part of the thing, with the ignites, right? And you mentioned that they even take longer after you get above 8 damage, is that it limits the number that you could play. If you could play 100 in a turn just because you could click fast enough, it's not really, I think, the intention. And it's cute that you can do that, but it also kind of sucks for whoever it's getting done to. So,
it's a super feels bad play experience, right? Almost any APM combo that's spamming a certain card feels like an awful play experience.
There's some that are very skill testing. I mean, when I've watched people in the past do things with the Druid Anaconda, right? To make everything and pre-nerf Celestial Alignment, right? That made everything one, and that you could do some shenanigans, but you had to hurry. And maybe you did it, and maybe you didn't, and maybe you drew poorly. But if you can use the animation skips for surefire victory, no, I don't.
To kind of yes and what you're saying there, Standard has had a few of these with Miracle Rogue, and then that's a more recent example, and then Whirl Kick Rogue before that, where you're drawing, you're generating a lot of cards, and so if you're skipping animation so you can see what those cards are, then you have more time to do your thing. So to kind of piggyback on what you were saying there.
Also, let me finish my two thoughts. I want to think. I just want to say, if I'm doing it, it's fine, but if someone does it to me, it's super bad.
That is an extremely valid point.
All right.
No, so here's the thing, and so I'm curious. Maybe technology has changed as I'm some sort of an old man at this point.
Technology.
Okay, so back in the day, when I used to play StarCraft 1, Brood War, all that.
Back in my
there was hacks you could download off of Napster, right? You could download these things called a map hack or whatever, right? And then you could turn it on in the background as a third party app that would make you see. So you do you're on Big Game Hunters, right? I don't know if you guys ever played StarCraft 1. You're on Big Game Hunters, and that's a big 4 versus 4
I've got the
map.
beast in my sights.
Yeah. And if you turned on the map hack that you downloaded, you could totally see everything. However, Blizzard at that point, we're talking 98, 99, they figured out when you were running a third-party app. And if you turned on, this happened to me one time. I downloaded one of those stupid things because one of my buddy had one. He's like, here, try this out. Downloaded this stupid thing. Sorry, Blizzard, don't ban me now. But I downloaded one of these map hack things. The second I entered Battle.net, the second my CD key was banned. I didn't get to use it. I never even got to try. I had to buy the game again. The second I logged in. Yeah, we're talking 20 years ago, man. I logged in, CD key banned instantly, right? So if there is some sort of third-party app that people are using to do this animation thing, which I'm pretty sure there is because they talked about it, like, and if I used to get banned back in the day, like the second I logged in, I figured there's got to be a way they can detect it now pretty quickly, because if they could do it 20 years ago,
yeah,
they got to be able to do it. And unless people are trickier, technology gets crazier, maybe there's better ways to mask it. I don't know. I'm not a hacker. I'm not sly with a computer. I don't know. But what I am saying is they could detect it then. I'm pretty sure they could figure it out now.
What Blue says in chat is like they can detect it, but it would take time and money to develop it, and maybe it's not in their purview to invest it, as opposed to just let's just nuke this thing. Let's nuke this thing so it's not a problem. And
maybe
like that like my greater
nerf around the problem at my work. That is not the proper thing to do in quality. I'm telling you.
Listen, I am becoming more and more convinced that when they design these cards that we are going to see, they are done with keeping. They used to pretend that they kept Wild in mind when they made new cards. I think they're done pretending. Like, I think they just are going to be developing new cards, and they're just going to make them. And when Wild breaks, it's going to break for 2 weeks. We're going to have to grin and bear it. We'll play the dumb broken thing for 2 weeks. We'll laugh at the noobs that don't know what the dumb broken thing is for 2 weeks. We'll get sick of it. We'll go play duels for 7 days, and then after it's done and it's nerfed, we can go back and we can enjoy the expansion. I think that's the pattern of play that's gonna come out, because it's happened several times now where we've had this pattern of.
I think they know. They just want to watch it burn. They're not stupid.
Well,
I honestly don't think Wild even comes into their head. I honestly don't think, and I think we have great devs for even responding to something that isn't even on their docket of most important things on a given day. They have a tough enough time balancing Standard with the amount of complaining that happens in Standard.
There's that Blizzard employee like sitting in the back corner going, but what about Wild? Like, come on, we're not geniuses here.
I really don't think so. I really not schedule their key.
All that said, there was in fact a ban right out the gate of test subject because of a broken Wild interaction. And they just kept that from even coming into play. So whenever they do notice it, the trend lately,
it's 2 days after it gets revealed by Twitter. I agree with you, Sheep. I agree.
Yeah.
But
that was a much better experience day one.
It feels like it's broken by the community first.
Well, it's because there's millions of us compared to the however large Team 5 is, right?
So, like, it's not like somebody sits down and says, will this card break Wild? And maybe that's unfair in a set of 100 and whatever cards. But like, if it takes... Not for nothing, we are told we are not the greatest thinkers in the Wild community, right?
Rude.
Like, we are told.
Who told you that? I'm gonna go punch him in the face.
Difficult. If we are cracking a card inside of 30 to 60 seconds after it has been revealed and been like, look at this new crazy combo, like that's a problem. That's not being caught by the greater devs, and it's either you're just ignoring its impact on Wild and you're sending it out to Standard anyway, and you say, you know what, Wild's going to be Wild. It's either going to play out, it's going to be horrible, or it's going to, and we'll nerf it, or we're going to play out, it's going to be a non-factor, whatever. And I think Crimson Clergy was very close to being a non-factor, but the fact that I don't think they wanted to be embarrassed by Spell Ignite Mage 2.0 again was a factor, because I don't know if everybody at home has been listening for as long as when we recounted what was happening, but essentially at some point about a year ago, a bunch of Chinese players said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we made a bunch of NA profiles and EU profiles and just made this Spell Ignite Mage list And the reason why I say spell Ignite Mage is because it was an Ignite Mage list that was based mostly upon spells and discovers and cycling through Luna, with Luna. Not Luna's Pocket Galaxy, but Luna, the actual minion, which has an animation time. And if you cancel out all the animations, the deck was incredibly effective at drawing through its entire deck, setting up Flame Wakers, shooting out Ignites, just like all sorts of unhinged stuff. It could kill you turn 3, 4, 5 fairly regularly. But it was basically playing in an inhumane amount of cards. And by inhumane I mean it wasn't humanly possible. It's just inhuman sort of reaction times without the animation cheat. And so this feels like they just don't want that embarrassment to happen again, because they didn't have a good answer to that deck at the time, and it wasn't a lot of people using it, but it hung around for about 6 months before they addressed it finally by killing Sork, and essentially ending that deck as like being functional, because you couldn't just play that deck anymore. And the same thing is sort of done here by banning clergies. They're saying, okay, well, you can't play this deck anymore, without addressing the greater problem, which is animation cheating when it happens. But just to highlight that as the greater problem, that's why I had the discussion that we had when we first started talking about this card, is because if we get into this, I'm going to call it a spherical pulling chamber of where we find ourselves all sort of saying this person's animation cheating, and this person's animation cheating, this person's animation cheating, because the rope's been burning forever and I've died, even though the rope's been burning. That's not quite the right discussion you should be having. You should be having the discussion of, it's like, okay, well, were the amount of animations that they had in that period of time humanly possible? And as kind of Sheep outlined, it's the best way to know. It's not great because it's sort of an eye test, right? It's very subjective. But if it's happening quicker than it should be happening, you're probably watching animation cheating. Like, follow your gut, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, I felt very passionately about this issue, and this is a big deal for Wild. And even though this deck sucks and this card is really good, it's like this ban is very. His ban is very telling, because the deck sucked, but the card was really good, and they banned it anyway. And like, I was using this in Reno lists. I was using this in like these weird like Chinese Reno Blessed Priest. They were calling it Blessed Priest because it was just like they didn't know what to do with it. Like American players or NA players or EU players had no idea what to call it. Like they were just like, it had Bless, and it had Bless Priest Sheep. In DM, Sheep is getting a little naughty. All right, Bless Priest, where it had Bless, and it had Crab Rider, and it was essentially using Crimson Clergy with Fan Club and other things to sort of draw to get to your yellow cards and then do the thing with your yellow cards. And it was a fun card in that deck. But we said it at the time, this was a degenerate draw engine. Why are you printing a degenerate draw engine for Priest? Well, you're printing a degenerate draw engine Priest because you think it'd be like okay and kind of fun and standard.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do it for Wild? Is like because you don't care about Wild, which is okay. If you don't care about Wild and then you're going to fix it, fine. Like that's something we can begin to cope with as a community. But like this was a worthy discussion because like that might be the stance we have to adapt to.
Yeah, I think that's a great kind of big picture, kind of forecasting into the future on what potentially Crimson Clergy means for the direction of Priest going forward. We almost didn't have Dark Bishop Benedictus back in Standard, but they included him in Decor. Overheal is a new, just complete class mechanic for Priest, right? I think that the Overheal class mechanic is going to be something a little bit more kind of zoo-y or, minion based, kind of like what we're using Dark Bishop Benedictus, Shadow Priest in general for now, whenever we're doing the aggro variant, not the Raza variant, right? So I think that Crimson Clergy makes a lot of sense in that kind of a build. and a lot of the different overheal cards that we've gotten make a lot of sense in that kind of a build. So I think that we'll probably, forecasting into the future, start seeing a lot more of those kind of minions with overheal that then either buff other minions or have other minion interactions. And in that kind of a deck, I feel like Priest does need draw, right? But again, that's a standard deck. It's kind of a standard, not even archetype yet, but hopefully will be a standard archetype at some point. And we have how many? Yeah,
first expansion, right?
Yeah. So this is forecasting into the future of what I think we'll probably be getting from Priest going forward. We have some things that we can perhaps leverage in Wild that Standard doesn't have, like Circle of Healing, right? Like Northshire Cleric. That we can renew. That we can maybe make something like that work without Crimson Clergy. So I think that even if we want the archetype to work in our format, it'll work without this card. But I think that Standard probably needs this card in order for that archetype to be even maybe viable whenever it comes down the pipeline. So that's kind of to answer your why even give Priest to draw. I think there's actually a reason. Now, I don't think that that's for Wild. I don't think that's necessarily for us, but it could be interesting to see what we get with this being the kind of like turn signal. We know that they're going to get there before too long. Kind of see what's coming, which I always think is really cool to see. Kind of like when you can work out that roadmap.
Do you mind if I throw one more question at you guys? As sort of let's stay on your feet, and Nate, I'm going to address you first.
So
Nate, how would you introduce this back into Wild? Because this is currently a banned card, but it will be introduced back into Wild one day in another form. So how would you fix it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe you have to like overheal by 2, or maybe
like a counter on there. That's not a bad idea.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of ways, like, not to go there too much, but I've been playing a lot of Snap, right? And there's no refunds in that game, right? So when they nerf something in Wild or in Hearthstone in general, you can get the dust refund. They do it in Snap and you're just screwed. Like you don't get it. It's just, all right, hope that the card is playable, and it might not be. But what I've seen is them trying to do nerfs where, and Hearthstone is getting good at this lately, is nerfing a card to the point where it's still playable. They don't do the Warsong Commander thing quite so much anymore. And so the thought is like, all right, well, how can we do this in a way that it's just not like trash? Because my first response was like, your charge minions have +2 attack, but but that like realistically, I mean, how like to try to play this without killing an archetype? Like, I don't know, maybe you put a counter on it or something like that. Because I like the idea, but we don't want to break the game with it. So yeah,
I think counter's clever. A counter's clever. Like it's a distinction that keywords don't typically have, but like that's cute. You have to code it.
Yeah, it'd be difficult. I don't know.
Hydra, what do you think? How would you balance the sucker?
The problem is that already happened. It's called Northshire Cleric, right? Like, to me, that's the perfect card.
Is it? Because Northshire Cleric, I think, is a worse card than this card.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
Draw engine. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, this card is OP, and I think the perfect version is Northshire Cleric.
Okay. So you want to make it more like Northshire Cleric, but Northshire Cleric already exists.
Well, yeah, because that's whenever a minion is healed, or maybe when this minion is healed. Because the overheal is just busted. And I do not want to fix overheal because it destroys all of overheal, right? You don't attack the whole new archetype of overheal, that new thing, right? To me, like the only way is to turn it into a Northshire Cleric or something like Northshire Cleric. You could make it more mana, but that's just like the, I don't know, cheap way out. But yeah, You get what I mean, right? Like it's a North Star cleric on steroids is what this card is.
Yeah. No, I get it, and not for nothing, balance is hard. And I'm literally like springing this on you guys with your first impressions because I think it'd be fun and good content. But
I have a great answer though.
But I'm interested. I know she's been waiting in the weeds.
You can make it a 3-1 instead of a 1-3.
All right. Crush it, dude. Sheep. Let me hear it. What's the perfect way to rebalance this sucker?
So Crimson Clergy was in the game before Overheal was a mechanic at all. Why not revert Crimson Clergy to what it was before then? It was never it never saw play, and that's okay. It used to read, after a friendly character is healed, gain +1 attack. Let's return it to what it was before.
Sir, you're besmirching Crimson Clergy's character. I will have you know that Ogre Priest ran this as a threat on 1 immediately after it played a couple of the minions that they have since turned into Overheal. So I am both offended, and I also think this is what they're going to do. I think they're just going to revert it to what its original form. That's the safest off ramp they could possibly take, right? Is to just make it what it was.
Exactly. And I sit corrected that it never saw play.
Yes, sir. It was a good deck. It definitely beat me on ladder at least once for Legend. So yeah, it must be busted. S tier, underplayed, criminally underplayed.
Crimsonally underplayed.
Crimsonally underplayed A because he's got the uniform on. All right, Nate, I'm done waxing poetically. What else is there left to do?
I think that's what was left to do.
Hydra gets to ask you a question.
Oh no.
You got the button?
Yeah.
And now, unrelated advice with Nate Wolf.
With SchmoopieDaddy. Sorry, we got to edit that, but
SchmoopieDaddy.
Okay.
How do I calibrate my refractometer? And
all right.
And how often do I need to do it?
All right. I haven't quite figured out what a refractometer is, so I'm not gonna Google it. Hydra, remind me the work that you are. Aramorn, you're never gonna know. Hydra, remind me the line of work that you are working in again. You're like working in like mining equipment, right?
It's sort of geotechnical.
Okay, so geotech. So I'm assuming when it comes to refractometer, you are sending sound waves into layers of the earth, and based on how those sound waves come back, that tells you information, because sound waves, I'm assuming, work like light waves, and light waves, when they are incident upon an optically a new optical medium of different density, they change their path and how they move. So you get a bending of light. So if you've ever tried to poke a fish in a lake, you're going to miss. Because you're going to poke at the image of the fish, and you're not going to poke at the fish itself.
I'm going to poke at the fish itself. I mean...
is bent. No, you're not, because you're going to poke at the image of the fish, Nate. Okay? Listen, Nate, you haven't gotten above B- all semester. Okay? We're not dealing with this right now, right? So... I'm assuming our refractometer is helping us with like sound refraction in the earth, and I can be completely wrong, and I don't care. I'm going to sell this bit so hard.
Professor Schmoopie me.
That's the case. Assuming that's the case, and that's helping me deal with and figure out different densities of the earth below me by refracting sound. I would say. How to recalibrate it? There should be a small button on the side of the device. You should hold down between 1 and 3 seconds. And also, you should do that every time before you use the device. Famously, my wife and I had to do a video in college for how to use specific lab equipment for our for our particular sciences. And so my wife was doing bio and she had to use a scale. And I'd never heard the term tear before. And so she's just like,
to zero it?
Yeah. And big, but okay. But do you know the origin of the word tear?
No.
Have you heard of the word? Have you heard
like
the word
T-A-R-E?
Have you heard the word tariff?
Yeah.
Like tariffs are like a tax. It's like it's one of those weird words that we just sort of. It's one of those weird words that we just sort of learn as adults because it's just like, all right, the hell, this is something that comes up in politics, right? But tear comes from the same French word as tariff, which is essentially like what are you doing functionally? You're evening out your scale so that you get an accurate measurement, but like that comes from the same like measuring process of like, okay, well, we have to collect our tariffs now. So we're shooting this video and she's like, and then you tear your scale. And I'm like, can you explain what tearing your scale is? And she's just like, SchmoopieDaddy, can you STFU for a hot minute? I'm trying to shoot this video and you're messing me up. And like, I don't appreciate your smart aleck attitude right now. And I'm like, I honestly don't know what tear is. So
wiser words have never been spoken.
There you go.
That's right. And you heard that on
Born to be wild.